Hi there, my name is Sandra. I'm also known as Ebony Empress. Welcome to Hidden Gems. Today I have a great speaker for you. He is a podcaster. He is known as It's My House. He's going to share a conversation with me. We're going to talk about the late Kevin Samuels. Join us. You cannot miss this. See you soon.
Positive or negative, American women, particularly Black American women. Most of the people that called into that, at least that I was an eyewitness to, called into his YouTube live streams were predominantly Black American women. He might have had somebody from the UK or France or I don't know, Timbuktu, but I never heard it. Possibly could have, but I never. So, most of the people that might be happy that he's gone will probably be American women.
Right.
Black women from France, UK, Germany, South Africa, Kenya, wherever. His comments that I heard direct towards them, because we're talking about different cultures, different countries. It's just different. So we had to put that in the proper context. Now, overwhelmingly, Black men liked what he had to say. Of course, not everybody, but quite a few. What the percentage was, I don't know.
Okay.
So were there Black women that liked him? I guess some, but some didn't like him. What was interesting to him about what I saw interesting about him was he's one of the few men, regardless of race, that in a debate, he could actually shut a woman down and she had nothing to come back. She couldn't out-debate him on average. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think that was? Why do you think he had the ability to shut women down in that way?
Well, I can't win an argument with a woman. I don't have that skill set.
Right.
But he had that skill set. So, and he was able to say or express what the average man couldn't say,
right,
or didn't know how to say.
Right.
So, to many, Kevin Samuels was in his own way to them, a prophet. Others, you either like him or you don't.
Yeah, I thought he had, looking at the videos, a bit of a cult following. Of men. I looked at the actual channel, the people throwing donations at him. I was like, wow. Right. He really had people mesmerized. I wondered if he was a little bit of a misogynist, though. Was he into his own hype so much so that he lost the plot? Because I think at the beginning, when I started watching the first videos of him, I actually agreed with what he was saying. I agreed that, people had lost perspective. Women of the kind of guys they were prepared to date or give a chance, and the guys that they were looking for, these, six-figure guys, were not necessarily men that were prepared, would have even been prepared to look at some of those women, right? Or consider those women. So why were they aiming so high? And why were they making it so difficult for average men to, to date them? But the bit where I kind of lost it with him was when he started to get into this whole thing of like how many times you should date someone before you want sex. Like, oh, 2 dates or 3 dates, we gotta get it down. I was like, what was that all about? Or one date, I think it went down to in one case, like, and I was like, what was that about? Because how is that helping the very narrative that you're trying to, project? How is that helping? I couldn't understand it, because if you've just met a guy, he's trying to get to know you, and you're being forced, or in a controlling situation where this guy has an agenda, like, I must have sex with you in the first 24 hours or 48 hours or 72 hours. Like, I
Right.
don't even know your name. I don't know what diseases you have. I don't know where your family come from. I know nothing about you. Why would I want you up in my body? Why would I be doing that to myself? Why
Right.
is that acceptable? Why? Because then in one ways you're saying, let's elevate ourselves. And in the other ways, you're saying, let's lower our standards. And you're trying to make that almost a norm, that, that should be your expectation, guys. Go in and get it. It kind of reminds me a bit of Alan Roger Curry's Mode One, but hey, that was slightly different. That was a different time. But it's that thing. I didn't understand that. Did you understand that?
Well, I don't think I saw any live streams. When I watched him, I when he had a live stream pop up and it came into my news feed, I was looking at it from the aspect of, how does this guy get so many people to watch his content? So I was looking at it from that standpoint. I think the one interview, I don't know if you've watched it yet, but the one interview where you might get that gives you the essence of what he was about was if you go to YouTube and you check out the Vlad TV interview of Kevin Samuels. If you watch that one interview, I think you'll get a good idea of what he was, the summation of what he was really about.
Yeah, so
Uh,
summarize that one for me, because I don't think I've got to that one
well,
yet.
basically, what it's an hour, it's over an hour long, but and Vlad's got snippets of it because he chops things up before he releases the whole video. But he's was from, I think born in Oklahoma. He grew up. His father had multiple families. His mother primarily raised him. I think he became an image consultant. I don't know how he got in. I think he was doing YouTube videos or podcasts of the two of them for like the last 8 years. And like I said, it was just the last 2.5 years or so where he really blew up. He wasn't and he serves a niche. His niche was primarily black men.
Right.
That what's the word? Either wanted to get into a serious relationship. I don't know the statistics, but I guess a lot of them were single. I guess you got some that were, but they were, to understand them a little bit more. Like, say, in that you have a lot of single men, and you have a lot of single women too. So I guess his niche was addressing. I guess one way you can look at it was maybe he was giving advice to women on how you can sustain a decent relationship with a male. Because he did give advice to men also.
Right. Yes.
On how to become what he would call a high value man.
Yes, I saw that. A high value man.
Yeah, so you can attract a high value woman.
Do you think it was good advice? So my question, was it good advice? Do you feel like there are now men out there who know how to be leaders? Because this show is about hidden gems, is about leadership. And, you know, and I really wanted to uncover some gems in our community. You know, I'm sorry he's passed, because maybe he'd be someone I would want to have a conversation with. But the only reason why I would be, you know, in looking at him as a leader. Is he a leader that we need right now in our community, or did he cause more harm than good? That's probably the question everybody's asking now. You know, I've seen some of the negative stuff in the media, on social media and whatever, but I have seen some positives. What do you think?
Overall, I'll say he presented more positive than negative.
Okay.
Just my opinion. I didn't watch all of his videos or live streams, but and then you can cherry pick, you know. I can take this, and I didn't agree with everything he said, you know, but like he gave some comment on Starbucks dates. He didn't think those were a good idea. Me personally, I think there's nothing wrong with a Starbucks date, if you want to call it that. Particularly in the early stages. Like if you're meeting somebody for the very first time, you know, Starbucks is a public place. You know, it's depends on how it's laid out. It can be a semi lounge. You know, you're not going to go broke. You know, buying a cup of coffees and a Danish or whatever. And then you see if the two people can see each other, talk in real time, and then if there's a vibe there, they can continue on later that day or decide to meet again.
Right.
So for $25, or I don't know what it'll be, but he wasn't big on us. Okay. Now another thing he said maybe about a week or two ago, within the last month, I just heard the blowback from it. I believe he said that women 35 and older were leftover women.
Yeah.
That comment didn't go over well.
No. I was like, I'm going to be talking about Kevin Samuels. I better spruce up a bit, because I'm one of these women over 35. And, you know, I don't want people to think I'm wasted. You know what I mean?
And I disagree with him on that.
Yeah.
I disagree with him on that. Yeah, I disagree with on that. And I mean, real good. It's not going to happen now, but had he had an interview with somebody like yourself, that would have been a really good interview where people could have got gems from both male and female.
Yeah.
All right. See, one of the reasons why I started listening to you is because, once again, you're not American. You're European. Okay. Right. And also Jamaican. All right. So you, in your blog talk days, or anything you've done, it's always been good conversation. You don't beat up on anybody. You don't disrespect anybody. None of that kind of stuff. So, whereas on this side of the pond, and you've got some good women on this side of the pond, but for some reason, it's a civil war over here. So, you know, you got to get, but getting back with Kevin Samuels. So I think some men, I mean, if you read the comment before he left or even after he's gone now, you'll have men that he's had a profound impact on. And with the women, you know, you know what? There's so many voices out there. You pick and choose.
Well, here's my thought. I believe that he was a bit of a sensationalist. I think the comments maybe, I don't know if, when I'm reading someone's story, I'm looking for, consistent messages. I think the things he said about women sometimes were out of sync with other things that he said about positivity around relationships, particularly Black relationships. I think the things he said was maybe to get more followers, maybe to get people's interest, because he had to keep that hype going, right?
Right.
And so I don't believe that he necessarily believed that. I don't know. I'd like to think he didn't really believe that about women. But maybe he threw that in to get people's interest, to get attention, essentially. I feel it's a bit like, I look at him a bit like someone who is a great artist and does great stuff for years and years and years. And suddenly there's some sensational story about something they've done, maybe a Michael Jackson figure, right? And suddenly we forget all the good stuff because this is what dominates the media right now. And that's all we can think about. And I think with him, that's how I feel it's gone, that anything he said that was sensational and that was, even though it was out of context with maybe a lot of the other stuff he said, people only remember that. People only talk about that. And that's why I think you've got to be so careful. The thing he said about plus size women, encouraging men, I actually watched that video, encouraging men to go for women who were fitter and who worked harder to keep their bodies in shape. Yeah, he got, he died allegedly on top of a plus size woman. How does that happen? It means that, you have no integrity. You were saying something, but you actually maybe in your heart, you believe something else, or you wanted something else for yourself, but you're telling men like, oh, are we taking the message out of context? What do you think?
It'll be interesting to find out the autopsy report when it's finally released, because he was they say he was anywhere from 53 to 56 years old, and he looked fit in his videos. So it'll be interesting to find out
what he died of.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, I've heard he was drinking Red Bull. He had a heart attack. He was with an escort. He died falling on top of somebody. So, it's. I want to find out what really happened.
Do you think he might have? I mean, I don't like to speculate because nobody can speak for themselves when they're gone. But we got to wait for an autopsy report. But could it be? I think that sometimes guys in their 50s want to enhance their performance. So he could have been taking the blue pill or something. I don't know. Try to keep his try to keep it up there.
That's a possibility too. One topic that Black men need to speak on, because there's so much dialogue about the battle between the sexes, is health. Because about maybe 4 years ago, before Kevin Samuels, he wasn't as large as Kevin Samuels, but Charles Tyler, who was an American, and he died in Brazil. But from what I understand, Charles had put on a considerable amount of weight. He was on medication, and you can't go from 0 to 100. You can't go from not drinking like a fish on vacation not having any sex to having a lot of sex to taking whatever Viagra, whatever blue pill. And he was 44, 45. He went out earlier than Samuels. So it'll be interesting to find out this, because he like I say, he looked fit to me.
Yeah,
But
I think, you know what, sorry to cut you if I did. I think health is a big thing for both sides, women and
right.
Black men and Black women. And something that we don't necessarily pay as much attention to is that as our bodies become older, we need to pay more attention to illness, to health, to checkups, to all of these things. And I think sometimes people overlook that. And if you're successful and you're running around the country, you know, in this state and that state, with all different parts of the world, then you aren't necessarily paying attention to your body in the way that you should. Like, you know, so there's assumed that, you know, you look healthy, you are healthy. But that we know that that's a much bigger question. Like, you know, so I think I liked in one of his videos, he was encouraging women to swim and I started swimming lately. So I know it's a good thing to swim, to run, to do all these things. And I think with I don't know, with now this whole thing about women in their bodies and people wanting to be much bigger than they were in the past. And it, not that they want to be, but it is almost encouraged because there is a booty generation now, okay, for women who are much bigger than they were, you know, years ago in my generation. So I think, are they as healthy as they should be? I don't know. Are we paying attention to our health whilst we're worrying about how our image of how we are perceived or how we look, or what makes us sexy, what makes men attracted to us? All those things puts pressure on people to do things sometimes, which takes them outside of the health zone. And I think the same with men, that, you know, as they get older, they still want to prove that I am, I'm doing it, I'm in this game. And, you know, and there are so many, you know, Charles will not be the first and he will not be the last. There are many people, many guys that are not looking after themselves, definitely not looking after themselves as well as they should. And what happens, and we've seen it in the UK a lot in the last few years as well, and COVID has really shown a light on it, because a lot of people went out who didn't need to go out, but maybe because they had underlying conditions which they weren't paying attention to. So I think it's healthy for us to have a debate about health in our community, but I think you know, body shaming is wrong. You know, basically saying this shape is the right shape. I don't think it's about shape. You know, you can have high blood pressure and diabetes and you be thin like a rake. Do you know what I mean? It isn't about shape and size. So what are we doing? How are we paying attention? What do we need to do to pay more attention to our health is probably a good debate for us to have in our community. But it's bad when it's overshadowed by, I don't know, nasty remarks about women and their bodies or men in their bodies, or, you know, it goes both ways as well, because women can also attack men, older men or middle-aged men, about their middle-aged spread and their abilities. But, you know, it's not going, if it's either person's doing it, either side's doing it, I think it's wrong.
I agree. But you know what, Kevin Samuels, I think, like I said, the main thing you have to look at when you're listening to Kevin Samuels, the way I view it, most of his conversations were involved African American or Black American women. Not anybody from the UK, France, Spain, Portugal. It was primarily that demographic. And you have to factor that in.
Yeah, but I think even though he was, a lot of what he said could be related to other Black women in other parts of the world. Because we do share, uh, we share a lot with you guys, whether you like it or not. The same stuff about, how we look, our hair, our clothes, our image, the way we treat our men. Interesting, I was talking to my son today. He's 30. And I said, as we were driving in the car to my daughter's house, I said, so did you hear about Kevin Samuels and what do you think? And he said, oh, yeah, he knew all about him. It was like, oh, yeah,
Right.
I know all about him. Yeah. And he said, but Mom, he did make a lot of sense. And he did speak some truths that men needed to hear and women also needed to hear. And so I don't think he was all bad in any shape or form, but he said, there's a thing that I think was probably missing from the conversation is that he was talking about men being higher level and moving their levels up, but levels also include income, right? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people want a date, want to be in a relationship, but they don't have an income to even do Starbucks, right? There's not even the income for Starbucks.
Right.
And
Right.
those men get very angry. Some of them become a bit narcissistic about what they can't have based on Starbucks, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
can't afford to pay to take a woman out, but I want a woman at any cost. And that is the craziness of some of the thinking that's out there. And my son would say, I have to say to some of the guys I know, I was like, you got to fix up in a lot of different ways if you want to get into the dating market, because women aren't just prepared to go to Starbucks. They do want a little bit more. And the truth is, if we're going to do all the things in terms of leadership that Kevin would advocate, right? Then we've got to step up in lots of other areas of our lives. And I don't know that men
Right.
really take that on. That's what my son was saying. So he could relate to the stuff that Kevin was saying, even though he's in the UK and born here. But he was saying, that's the bit I feel that's missing, that a lot of guys are kind of deluded about what they think they bring to the table. They definitely are high on what women need to bring to the table, but
Right.
what do they bring to the table is a big question. And are they realistic about, what it is? So it depends on what stage, I think, as well, you meet someone in your life. If you're meeting a woman in her 30s, yeah, she's looking to have a child, maybe if she hasn't had any, and to settle down. If she's had children,
Right.
she's still looking to settle down. So she's
Right.
looking, yeah, for a leader, but she's looking for someone who can also keep her safe, give her security. And maybe if we're building together, that we're building that security together. There aren't that many women, I feel, Black women who are necessarily six-figure people. But I think the average woman who is earning, and may even be a single parent, is earning enough maybe just to keep everything going. But what she needs is a support financially. And,
Right.
and guys are wanting to come in. Yeah, I want the sex in 24 hours or whatever. But what are you bringing? Apart from that, what else
Right.
is going on, bro? What else is
Right.
going on is going to be the question. And so
Right.
then, yeah, I get where women are like, no, I want the six figures, right? And maybe it's a little bit unrealistic, but if you're faced with someone who can't even do Starbucks, then what do you want from a woman? And yes, they go back into their shell,
True.
like Kevin says, and they're like, I'm never going to date. And that's because you keep meeting those people who are unable to even get to that level and are unrealistic about whether they should be in a relationship or not. And then what does a
Right.
relationship mean? Oh Lord, don't get me started. What does a relationship mean?
At all. The only person I got to be concerned with is me. So once she told me that, I just, you know what? I like that philosophy. So I don't own your body. You do with your body what you want to do with it. Don't tell me what you do with your body unless I'm directly involved. So whoever calls you, whoever you go out, if you leave the house at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, that's between you and whoever. Don't tell me, but I'm not going to be concerned about it. I got enough dealing with just me.
I agree. I think that's a
So
great
that's how I
way.
look at it.
I think that's a great way to be. I think we're in a world where people are very controlling. You know, they want to be in control of everything that moves. They want, you know, they've been on one date with you and suddenly, you know, they own you. Really? Do you know?
Right.
Like, so can people understand that you know, a relationship is a building process? That's what it is to me. I don't know if people want to accept that out there, but I just want to give you my perspective. I think it's a building process. We start off, we at least learn each other's names first.
Right.
Learn something about our families and the origin, and not to be trying to microwave that process either. Because some people just, yeah, like, who are your family? Where are you from? That by the time, you know, like you got 50 questions because they need to ask all those questions so that they feel they can move on very quickly to the next stage. And it's like, come on, dude, really? I don't need those questions. What I need to do is for this relationship to organically grow into something. So we start with the premise of getting to know. And as we get to know, you know, that will open more doors, and then we'll get to different stages. And as we get to those stages, we agree where we're going next. So for me, you know, the dating stage, if you want to talk about, you know, are we now in relationship? I think at that point, we have a conversation. You know, where are we going? Is this, are you ready to go to the next level? And what does the next level mean for you? And, you know, and what's your bigger goal in this? Why are we here? What are we together for? You know, so we're like, I just want to be in a relationship. What for? Is there a purpose for us getting together? You know, you know, in a Christian sense, it may be because we want to, you know, create a ministry or a charity together. We want to do something that will impact the world together. Or it may be even on a social level, just a general level out there. You know, we want to bring our families together, or if we have families, or we want to have children together. We want to do something together, because why are we getting together otherwise? You know, communicate. You got to communicate. Because if I can't read your mind, I cannot read your mind, and you cannot read mine.
Have you read the book, The 5 Love Languages?
Yes.
Well,
we are currently doing
the only way that you can communicate, the only way that you can probably communicate with another person is you have to know their language.
Do you know yours?
You know, that's a good, you know, just based on that book, which I forgot all. I'm not a touchy-feely person, so that's not my language. I know that's not it. You know what? I would have to honestly say, no, I do not know my language.
So you need to look at that. Go read Gary
Chapman. I need to go back and review that book. And I think there's 7 love languages or 5 love languages, something like that.
5.
There's probably more than that in reality, but
yeah.
I just know I'm not a touchy-feely type person. And then some people, their language is gift giving or whatever.
Yeah, gifting, words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch. Yeah.
Words of affirmation would be my language.
Okay.
That's mine.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I like quality time, but I also like physical touch. So, you know, I'd say the predominant one is physical touch. And that doesn't mean I'm touchy-feely, but I don't
Right.
think I need to explain anything more about it.
Okay, well, say that
But
for another day.
hey, I think we need to wrap up. We've had such a good conversation, and I got so relaxed I've even forgotten the time. But I just want to thank you so much for a conversation this afternoon.
And thank you. I know it's starting to get late over that way.
Yeah, it's afternoon for you, but it's starting to become the evening. But because the summer nights are longer now, we've not got to it being dark yet. It's still a nice, pleasant
Well, that's
evening
right.
in
The
the
sun
UK.
doesn't go down until around about 10 o'clock there, 10 p.m.
No, about 8 o'clock now, 8:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when the lights will go down. But
Okay.
we're well within that. And I just want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for having this conversation. I hope the listeners out there will find it pleasant and interesting. And, thank you for being a gem.
Thank you for the invite. Looking forward to whenever we do it again. That's what, about once a year we do it, something like that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's about
So
once a year
we
now.
communicate throughout the year anyway. So.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
All
take
right.
care. Great to see you.
Great. Have a good rest of the evening. Have a great week. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Mm.